My name is Verene Shepherd, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about one of Jamaica's national heroes, Samuel Sharpe. He was born in Jamaica in 1801 and enslaved at Croydon Estate in Catadupa first, and then at Cooper's Hill in St. James also, but near Montego Bay. He was the acknowledged leader of the Emancipation War, which broke out in 1831, December 1831, and lasted until 1832. What little biographical details we have indicate that he was married, and in 1832, his wife lived at Content Estate. Now, Sharpe's parents may have arrived in Jamaica from Africa between 1787 and 1801. He had a brother, William, who was with him when he surrendered in 1832, surrendered to the authorities, because they were looking for him, and a nephew employed at a printer shop in Montego Bay. Now, his mother survived him, so you know that she must have witnessed his hanging. But his father was spared that. He died years earlier. His father-in-law, though, is said to have been among the planners of the 1831-32 war. He's also said to have had a daughter, Mrs. Gaynor, who was living with her daughter, Mrs. Scott, in Montego Bay in 1896. He was tried and sentenced to death for his part in the final Emancipation War on April 19, 1832. But the wicked people kept him in jail for over a month, and then he was hanged on May 23, 1832. Now, you may ask, so what did he contribute to Jamaica and in fact to the world? First of all, 1 year after the war, he led to secure the end of chattel enslavement in Jamaica. Britain passed the Emancipation Act, that was in 1833, to come into effect in 1834. Of course, full free was delayed and only came in 1838, after the premature ending of that scam called apprenticeship, which just delayed freedom by 4 years. So Sharpe made a huge contribution to the freedom struggle in Jamaica, mobilizing over 600 people from Western Jamaica and inspiring others from across the island to join a war of liberation. And this war, I would suggest, helped to inspire other regional freedom struggles to end chattel enslavement. For all of this, Sam Sharpe was made a national hero of Jamaica, but we must also see him as a global 19th century champion of anti-slavery justice and human rights. Then now, so what are some of the things that you don't know, you never knew before about Sharpe and about the war he led? Well, first of all, the war did not just erupt in 1831. In other words, it was planned before. The war was being planned from 1824, just after the Argyle War. In fact, one of Sharpe's fighters, Linton, left this for us to know, and I quote from him: "This business has been providing for more than 2 or 3 years, even as far back as the Argyle War in Hanover of 1824. Every year since, at Christmas or October, we were to begin, but were afraid to jump off until this year. We were very near beginning it either in last March or in last October." So you see, it wasn't a spontaneous uprising or rebellion. It was a planned, organized war. So never again say the Sam Sharpe rebellion. And the sit-down strike, in my view, was stage 1 of this war. The backup plan for armed struggle was already laid down with appointed leaders of revolutionary cells across the island. And the people who went and saw all these prisoners, told them about all these things. They know they were going to die, so they say, they may as well tell all. Did you know that there's a monument behind the Civic Center in Montego Bay with the names of over 600 of these warriors who were punished for their role in the war? And did you know that while many were flogged, hanged, and imprisoned, several were exiled or deported or transported, as they used to say, as far as to Australia? Did you know that women were also hanged and deported for their role in this war? It wasn't a male-only struggle at all. And did you know that Sharpe was valued by the jury at the sum of £16, 10 shillings current money of Jamaica a sum eventually paid as compensation to his enslaver. So the man was killed. His enslaver claimed, oh, well, I've lost property, and so I want compensation, and he got it. And finally, did you know that several people are said to have witnessed Sharpe's execution or spoken with him in prison and left written accounts? According to these accounts, Sharpe, dressed in a new white suit, walked in a dignified manner to the gallows. After a short speech, he knelt and prayed. And before he was hanged, he ended with the words, "I now bid you farewell. That is all I have to say." And he was buried in the First Baptist Church, but his bones were later removed. It is unclear to where and why. But of course, there are many stories about where in Montego Bay it might be. I hope you learned something new today, but honor our heroes and our heroines.